technology. We wouldn't be here today if we didn't have it. But then again, even though it has all its upsides, it also has its equal opposite and downsides, like it may glitch or something. We have come a far, far away from that, and now we're using technology almost every day, if not every day in our lives. And it is affecting us. I'll be talking about 3 different types of technologies and how it affects us. First, I'll be talking about video games, and I'll say the rest as it goes on. Because sometimes it may even be addicting, challenging, and maybe even disconnect us from reality. Let me just give some tasks that we won't normally need or use, but is still a vital part of living and, well, helping us. I'm talking about war, the army, and you know how there's lots of gun games and all that? How will that affect us in the war? So let's compare the experiences between war and the video game. Now from the video game perspective, let's just say in your average level, you take down a couple enemies and then you wait for that cool explosion at the end telling you that you won the level. Or you just mow down enemies without a care in the world, thinking that they're just AIs, nothing more, or just another player that has no right or anything to do any harm to you, and how can he? Other than taking your NPC down, well, nothing else that he could really do. So from there on, you don't have that much of a heart, or you don't care so much for the person on the other side or the other computer, because they have really no threat. And plus, if you take them down as the NPC, it's not gonna hurt them or whatever. But in war, it's lot more than that. Now, the soldiers are usually trained and, well, taught that the enemies are the worst possible thing that you ever laid your eyes on, and you should feel heartless when you take those soldiers down. Think of them as, I don't know, scum on your plate. Those people are trying to take you down, and you're gonna fight for victory and your country and all of that. So when you're out on the battlefield, they're killing people that realistically are just as important as you think yourself is. So this isn't your average everyday your video game.
I'm the greatest.
It's more like this.
I killed my only friends in the zombie apocalypse. I killed my only friends. I can't live with my shame. I can't live with my shame. I can live with my shame.
And to think that you're doing it on the battlefield with everyone else is just nuts. Think about how much pain they're going to be going through. And also the carelessness in the video game. It's like, let's just say in your average video game, you just chat, you have a bit of fun, you have like a root beer or a Coke beside you, some Doritos off to your side. You don't take that onto the warfield, you have to take, I don't know, some dried meat with you. And you're not making jokes with your friends while having a fun time having your meat and all. You're actually killing people. You're not wasting ammo drawing smiley faces into the wall with your, I don't know, pistol and ammo. You are making sure every single one of your shots is precise and making sure that it hits every single enemy out there.
For God's sakes, work on your aim.
Video games can really affect the performance of the soldier on the battlefield, and frankly, it's a bit scary about what they might do. But now the upsides of someone that played video games in war. Well, did you ever think about the strategies that the player might have to do to take down an enemy or a horde of enemies? They don't just run in, shoot their guns in random directions like some games. But they're actually going over through corners, they're stealthing it through, they're doing multiple things as easy as possible without getting hurt, well, successfully taking down the enemy. But this also comes to even more strategy. So let's just say enemies are gonna be coming from 2 different directions. They're not just gonna shoot random directions like in your average video game. They're actually gonna take positions. They're gonna find out which way they're gonna come. They're gonna observe the enemy and see what planning they're doing to try and take you down, and you're gonna try and get an equal, or if not more powerful, comeback to win. You might lose 1 or 2 members, but planning is planning and war is war. You gotta deal with it. Now what I'm about to say right now is not all too common, except it does take effect with video games. For example, let's just say you're in the woods and stuck, and let's just take your average game, Minecraft, which is survival as well. And you have no knowledge except for playing the game Minecraft, and you have to take it from there. Now this is probably not going to happen as said, but let's just say it as example. So basically the game I was talking about is a survival game where you try and make your own shelter before night comes, and after that happens you just keep building up and then eventually go to the end to defeat the big spoopy ender dragon. Why? Who knows why, but whatever, it's a survival game, get that. But people that have little to no knowledge and that are addicted to video games will immediately jump to think,
this is best idea.
This is survival, and I need to survive. The only knowledge I know is from this small little game called Minecraft, so I'm gonna do that. And then 2 days later or 3 he dies. But really, let's look at the downsides and the upsides. So, the downsides first is, how is he gonna get the materials and all that? In the normal game that I'm talking about, you just punch down a tree and then build tools on from that: wood, stone, iron, gold, blog, diamond, blah 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 blah. But you're gonna have to find like a rock or something to start chipping away at that wood or other stuff to make a shelter. But then again, it's not gonna cut down a whole tree or even get a bit of bark off. Maybe, as I said, a bit of bark, but nothing more. You might have to find like a stick, you might have to wedge a rock in that stick, you might have to find something that you could use as a string to put that rock on the stick or something, and then you get a tool from that and keep building up, and maybe you could get resources for a shelter from that on. But by the time you got that done, well, it's already going to be nighttime. The only difference is that there's no monsters, but eventually you might starve to death, and there might be some big grizzly bears or whatever, some raccoons and all, that might just end up beating you up to death. And food. It's not going to be so easy to just kill something with bare hands, or, I don't know, a rock or something. You might be able to injure it and maybe make it unconscious, but how you actually can get meat or anything from that, and the water from, like, I don't know, a lake nearby if there is one, you're probably not gonna be able to drink that water because it's very polluted. Now the upsides is, because it's a survival game and, well, you get superpowers to punch down a tree with your fists and all, but the upsides of that is that you know what you need. You know you need shelter, you know you need food, you know you need water. So basically, you know the simple resources that you need to get. You're not gonna forget something like, ooh, I forgot to get some water, and then you die 3 days or 4 days later. But yes, it is gonna be cheating. If you're defenseless, you know to stay quiet and try and sneak around animals and all that. And if you have enough defenses, you could go up to the enemy and maybe smack it unconscious or something with a dart if you have one in your bag. I'm not sure why you would, but if you have like a weapon or something. Now this segment's gonna be a bit shorter because we're moving on to the second part and the third part. And well, those are mostly gonna be me explaining, not so much the video games, and plus I had a bit of fun. So now I'll be talking about the second part of technology. Phones, like cellular devices or whatever. So phones, I don't know, early 1900s and all, and they've been used for sending transmissions, even like in the Titanic days, the simple ones like tapping the small button and then sending like SOS to the next ship. But again, as time goes, it evolved at the same time. So instead of like a slow written out message on a piece of printed paper on another ship nearby, it's actually conversations, full-on conversations, little to second delay. It's pretty accurate and pretty useful. So basically how this affects us from normal, like phones and all, just like letters and all, is basically you're able to get in touch with your friends, loved ones, family, sooner and in the day instead of like 2 weeks later. So let's just say, I don't know, in my last presentation I talked about Star Trek, Oh, bro, did you see the new Star Trek movie? And then it gets over to their friend's house and he's like, it's not new. Are you crazy? And then you get it back like a month later than when you first originally got it, and well, it's inefficient is basically what I'm trying to say. So phones basically really pump it up even like long distances. It may cost a lot and all, but it's pretty useful. Now the third segment, which also related to the last ones. The internet. See what I did there? But anyway, the internet, if you didn't know, since we're playing this video on the internet right now off a projector in the room, or the computer in the library, probably the projector, but I'm just dozing off again. Anyway, the internet is basically interaction, as I said, except it's brought up on like a screen and you're able to read text, so basically you could send almost anything on the internet, not like actual physical objects like a sphere or, I don't know, that baseball that you brought off eBay or that, I don't know, crappy piece of jewelry, but it's basically a phone, but you're able to interact in way more ways than that, and it's worldwide, open to everyone. Of course, you could have some privacy settings on, I don't know, Facebook, Google, this and that, but still, it's basically like an interactive thing for everyone. Now, how this compares to the normal world and all of that, basically it's a bit cheaper to use. It takes a lot more electricity and all that to run, not that there was none before, but way more. It's basically way more efficient than ever. And the phone and all that, the internet, basically their efficiency, but the gaming and all is, well, changing our personality and all that. Not that the internet and all that does, because remember what I said about the threat and all from the video game, how people don't usually pose a threat. Let's just say on a YouTube comment section, you say, oh, this video sucks, then you have like 2-3 replies saying, no, you suck, go die in the fire, blah blah blah. You don't take them as a threat, and you're more heartless to them, and then yeah, it could affect you normally in your social life, but that's really low to, well, none of a chance that it's gonna change you. But other than that, basically technology is evolved, and how it changed us, it's basically for efficiency and entertainment. But other than that, technology hasn't done too much. But security and all that, safety, it really does help in our everyday tasks. And this will conclude my overly worked on homework. Even though it was supposed to be one page, I had an idea for a video, and
Again, confetti saved up.